Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday, the April 11th, 2018. Sorry, I was not here yesterday morning. Kind of got caught up with a couple home related issues. Nothing bad. Um, let's see here. Okay, we've got right now in about 7 minutes, we are getting some uh, econ news coming out, and one second here to make sure I've got this all correct. Do, 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 do. Where are we at? Okay. Give me one more minute here. Okay. Now I got it set. I was just checking stuff on my other screen. So 6 minutes, we're gonna have CPI earnings month over month, core CPI month over month data that's coming out here. A lot of moves. So not looking to take really any kind of trade right now. We want to watch this. I did put in. Yeah, I wonder actually if it went through. Let me take a look. No, it did not. Okay, I'm just looking at the trades from on Monday. The pound dollar short is one we're probably be looking at adding to or taking. I know it on the one we put on Monday kind of ran away from us like significantly, by about 60 pips, and we pretty much got halted right at the 142.20 inner range up here, and just kind of drawing a lot of various trend lines here. We've been getting a lot of activity to the downside because we are extremely overbought on the dollar pound here. If we take a look at the 8-hour chart, well, let's look at the 12-hour chart. Very extended and curling down. All right. And then if we look at the 8-hour chart, same thing. We've had, and if we look at this is a very bearish setup right here. Additionally, 4-hour very weak looking. So I'm looking at adding to our shorts here at 141.77. Okay, we should experience a nice pullback. CPI data coming out, just very extended for about 3 to 4 days on this dollar pound, and we should be looking at entertaining a counter move here. The short trade on the pound dollar has been a fantastic trade for a while now. I've really enjoyed getting in on the rallies and shorting those. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, this has been kind of a headache lately, but we may be experiencing the turn here. It's been very legitimately parabolic. Now again, a parabolic move is when you have a steady uptrend, but then the pitch of that move changes. I mean, it gets more expansive. So if we look at it from this perspective, if we look at it here, New Zealand dollar, 3 minutes till that news. So New Zealand dollar, looking at a hourly here, we have an upper trend, okay? Then we have another upwards then the slope increases. Okay, notice how the slope continues to increase as we go. And so the short opportunity here is going to be below the at 73.58. That's going to be a nice short entry. Okay. Now, add an alert there. Why doesn't it want to? Well, never mind you, because I don't care. The New Zealand dollar, looking at it from this construction here, why don't we get rid of a lot of these trend lines? We know what we're looking at. So it got stopped right up against this from this swing high in February, all the way down to this swing low in March. We got stopped at the 786 retracement. Found kind of a double top there, and then we found resistance up against the arc, and we're still really extended. If we look at the 8-hour chart, we can see that we're just kind of turning off there. We have, a lot of divergence that has shown up here, and so we should look to see some pullback happening on this trade, especially because in a parabolic move, it's one of those things I always mention where you do see things move in the markets. Let's look at our trades here. How is the pound dollar viewing this data? Not really doing much at all, really. Had a little bit of a spike up, but then fell back down. We'll watch how this goes. Let me see what the data is, actually. Let's see. CPI was as expected. Previous was 2.2. The consensus was 2.4. Consumer price index for food and energy was 1.8, and it was 2.1. So, yeah, bullish indications there, but really not far off the bat. Really not outside of what was expected at all. So we're really within the norm there. We should expect to see some peeling off of a lot of these trending highs. Really when we know we have CPI data coming out, and then there's such these expansive moves against the currency that's expecting that news, you generally will see a retracement of some sort. Okay? While this is all panning out and figuring out where it's moving in the short term here, let's take a peek at the regular equity markets real quick. Now, this is the Dow. These are the Dow futures, and observe what has been happening here. All right, so it's kind of in a hairy situation. It's looking very bearish, very choppy, volatile trade here. Not healthy at all. As currency traders, we should love to see this. I trade futures. I usually only trade the open. And the U.S. pit open, it's called, so when it opens at 8:30. Although I do take trades ahead of time, but I don't trade futures as much as I used to, just because the market is just in one constant trend. Now I might start trading futures a little bit more now, and I have, but otherwise, you know, just futures are, I don't, honestly, just not as fun as currencies and, you know, and cryptocurrencies. So, oh, we got some more data out here, guys. CPI. Okay, what do we get? I think we got all those. Consumer Price Index month over month was worse than expected, followed by the consumer price 248,991. Okay, well, it was still higher than previous, but at the consensus, it did not beat the consensus. Okay, well, whatever. Consensus. There's a dangerous thing about what analysts forecast for, you know, like stock earnings and stuff. It's like, oh, they beat earnings. Well, if you set the bar really low to where they're going to beat it, yeah, I mean, of course. It's like saying, listen, you're going to beat your personal best, okay? You know, it's the bar here is to run a mile in 20 minutes. All right? And if you can beat that, I mean, you should feel good, because that is where we've set the bar for a beat. It's running a mile in 20 minutes. That is kind of how a lot of analysts and how the industry kind of sets these things up to make it easy. Okay, they really don't do a lot of things to challenge or to make accurate. They make it seem like things are better than they are. Although, with respect, earnings are healthy, and they should continue to be healthy. So just keep that in mind. Okay, moving on. Where was I? Oh yeah, so look at the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ had a rally yesterday. Then on Tuesday, it shed a whole bunch. You know, actually if you've been paying attention to equity markets, they've been pretty volatile, right? They've been pretty wide out there, and you know, just kind of you know, doing some wild and crazy things. Okay, now let's take a look at, where are we at here? Let's go take a peek at gold now. Gold has caught a pretty nice drive up. It's at a very key area. It's at this key resistance zone, okay? It's almost like we've got a triple top on the hourly. All right, if we look at this, we've got, you know, 13. Actually, let's bring it down to the 4 hour. And let's pull up our nice gold chart that we have on our Forex lens chart here. Ooh, where are we at? Okay, let me get that fixed here, readjusted. Here we are. So gold's had pretty much just a straight up move. Good Lord, for the, you know, since, wow, the last 30 minutes we've gone from 1348 to 1354. That is a push. That is looking a little extended. And so we're coming back into this resistance zone that we've had before at 1358.17. So you know, really not looking to participate in that gold trade right now. We haven't really participated in the gold trade much at all, whereas not very long ago we got really involved in a lot of the moves. But for right now, some things are just a little too choppy for even my taste. Euro dollar. The euro there we are. I was doing these as examples here. Let me just get rid of those. Oops. Okay, Euro. We certainly got stopped right on this on the 618 retracement. Okay, had a nice 5 drive up. I mean, this is a pretty this is a pretty textbook Elliott wave, impulse wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And so we're right in the area where we could consider taking a short. All right, let's look at higher time frames. On the 4 hour, certainly we are actually very divergent on the 4 hour. So actually, let's consider taking a short at this area here. Where's my? Okay, here it is. Okay. And dollar yen. Ooh, ouch. It's a good thing I'm out of those. Oh, well, really, we've just fallen back to our support line here. We've fallen back down to the 45, which has acted as a very strong support zone lately. Let's look at this on the 8-hour chart. Looking supportive for some buying here. 4-hour chart, same condition. Notice how we bounced right off of that angle. 2-hour chart, very supportive, yep. And then back to the 1 hour. So if we want to entertain a long, we're probably going to want to consider buying above the open slash high of this candlestick. So we're probably looking at the 106.85. Okay. New Zealand dollar, that's still very, needs to shed some. Pound dollar needs to shed some. You know, if we look at this condition right here, we're forming an inside bar off of this bullish, very bearish candlestick on the high volume. We are forming an inside bar here. Be on the lookout for that. The euro pound. So euro pound looks like we're going to be entering a good trade setup here, possibly. Maybe entertaining a long, but we may not actually probably do that until tomorrow. Let things, rattle out here. I'm happy we did not do a trade on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. This trade structured very nicely, but when there's a whole bunch of oil issues going on, Middle East stuff, I just don't like to touch it. Stay away, loony. Stay away. Oh, the dollar yen, US dollar. The dollar index is actually kind of taken on the nose, but we are entering the supportive buying zone here on the dollar index. So this is another indication that we should be seeing some reversals in our currently short-term trending up markets. The Aussie dollar, US dollar, probably we're looking a little like we've got a perfect Elliott wave set up. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we've kind of fallen back down here. Let's look at this on the 8-hour chart. What are we looking at? We had a reversal in time based on this vertical bar, which is a time cycle. Couldn't hold above this arc, so we fell back down below it, and now we're below it and testing and resting on a fib line as well. We return to this 45. Now, if we break down below this 45, that's going to be an important area to watch. Where did we find support? We found support on this inner 2/8 pivot. Okay, this has been a very strong support zone. Okay, very strong support zone. So we'll want to watch out for this. If we return to it, we're going to have a pretty nice fall through if we return to it. So, but we want to get in that move early. So I'll be watching to see what happens if we return down to this angle here or not. That's going to be something to look out for. On the 4-hour chart, not really looking like good entry anywhere on the hourly. Actually, it's looking maybe a little supportive on the hourly even. We'll have to see though. Take another look at. Actually, before let's take a peek at cryptos real quick. Because we've got some activity coming up here. Okay. I'm gonna look at it from this end. Okay, so this is very big deals we've got going on here. Where'd you go? Okay. Now, I want you to take a look at this. So, on this structure, this is our square of 90. That's what this structure is, that we're seeing all these angles. Now, remember the rule of angles. The rule of angles states that when price breaks an angle, it'll move to test the next one. So, where's the next angle? Way up here, past, really in the 8100 zone. Okay? That's where the next angle is. So, we're above this angle. We did not sell off below it. All right? So that's a good sign. Additionally, if we look at Litecoin rather, if we look at Litecoin, it is also finally above that angle. It's finding support on it. And so as we drift closer to this angle, we should actually experience some nice buying pressure. There is a lot of bullish news coming out about cryptocurrencies lately that are really going to drive sentiment to the upside here pretty soon. Ethereum is the only one that's really not riding against a resistive or supportive angle right now. But Ethereum is just below this. But Ethereum's been outperforming Bitcoin quite a bit. This is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. And basically, this is measuring how Ethereum performs against Bitcoin. Think of it like the euro dollar. This is like the performance of the euro versus the dollar. So this is the performance of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And clearly we can see that Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin fairly well. Now let's get back to our currencies. So looking at the euro here, we did break this angle. Okay, and then we tested that one, but we fell back down. So we're really looking at, there's another short. If you didn't want to get in short at that 23.87, then we have a few entries that we could take. Probably, if we want to, we could wait till there's a break of 23.49. That is an option. Because that'll break a lot of this structure, a lot of these trend lines here. So let's watch for that. Dollar yen in our square of 90. When we get to these beginnings and end of these squares, which is where we're at, notice how expansive these channels are. I mean, you can just kind of tell. When you compare it to what happens when you're kind of in the middle of one, you get some pretty predictable trading opportunities based off of these square of 90 angles, and they're relatively fast in how they move. But then as we get closer to the end and the beginning of these ranges, we get these very expansive zones that we can trade in. They experience a lot of breakouts and just a lot of a lot more expansive price range in the trading. New Zealand dollar. Now, New Zealand dollar, we were looking at 73.58 to short on a return down there, which is really what we're looking at. You know, a break below there, below 73.58 brings us this neon green line is the 886 retracement. That's from the swing of September of 20th of 2017 to the swing low in November of 2017. Okay, and then so what we're looking at is from that swing high to this swing low, we have retraced 88%, 88.5% of that move. And the 886 line is a strong resistance zone. It's one that does not get talked about a lot, but you know, it is when price gets to that retraces, it has a very high probability of finding a reversal. And so because we have not traded very strongly above it, we have this expansive zone. So we crossed this angle, but we have not really traded strongly and aggressively above it, which is a sign of weakness. So when price crosses below this trend line and price crosses back down below this angle and it crosses below the 886, we should observe some fairly swift action to the downside. Okay? So that's what we're watching out for. Our risk is fairly limited. I mean, we're looking at, you know, in the, really we could just say 74 would be the risk zone. But, you know, if we look at the 8-hour chart, we are very extended. If we look at the 4-hour chart, extended as well. Looking very top heavy and weak. Look at the 1 hour. Similar situation. So we should be looking at a lot of breakdown in prices this morning. Turnaround Tuesday got late. I think it wanted to wait until Wednesday. Maybe. We'll see. These have been kind of strong up short-term strong short-term moves that we've been experiencing. But, you know, a lot of it has been on really low volume. Like the pound dollar has been on very low volume on the rise up. It's been a pretty dishonest and fakey move. Oh, why did I hit 5? I didn't want to go to 5. I want to go back to the hourly. Yeah, just based on this, I mean, we broke down below this angle, okay? So let's get rid of this angle. We'll keep those trend lines, but since we broke down below, and we're still below it, we got 8 minutes, 37 seconds before we close below it, but there should be, where's the angle below this? Right down here. I mean, as time goes on, it gets lower. The lowest point of this angle to get tested is the 140.82 zone. Okay, so that's about 100 pips below where we are right now. That would be a pretty impressive move, but it certainly could happen. You know, there's a longer term trend line that you know, depending how you want to draw it, it's quite a ways below where we're at. Right here, we're looking at that, really where that intersects. Okay, so that's kind of where price is probably wanting to move to test and check. So let's keep an eye on that. You know, additionally, because we've had a bias on a market turning around based on the weekly charts for a lot of these, when we see 3 days, all right, so let's think of it this way. We know that the markets are going to change based on our weekly analysis and our Gann analysis. Okay, so they're going to reverse. But what happens if they still keep going up in extended conditions? Well, that's where we revert back to thinking about Gann's time cycles. And the number 3 and the number 7 are very important. So to me, when something has signaled very strongly, both in technicals on a weekly chart and in astronomical analysis, financial astrology, and prices continue to extend away from that, I know that that is not natural. So I look for a certain amount of days to know when the snapback's going to happen. And so we look for 3 days and 7 days. So when things start to trend up 3 days beyond that, then you know that you're going to have a good, or like a really good probability of prices falling down. But if that doesn't happen, then we look for 4 more days. We look for 7 days in the future for that to happen. But currently, depending on how prices react to these current levels, we could be seeing the beginning of a turnaround in these trending short-term trending conditions. So just keep an eye on that. All right. Let's go over all these one more time. Let's take a quick peek at the dollar yen. Dollar yen caught quite a bit there. Good Lord. It's actually pretty nice. Pretty nice. New Zealand dollar hovering, showing some weakness. Certainly not showing the same kind of conviction, if you want to call it conviction, that it was experiencing yesterday and the day before. Pound dollar, we've already kind of looked at this one, looking weak. Euro, similar situation. Yeah, so yeah, we've got a lot of look at all that selling, gee whiz. So we've got a lot of trades in front of us, a lot of great opportunities, and let's keep our eye on them. And we should have a really good trading day and the rest of our trading week. Yeah, it's a shorter day today too, because there's really not a whole bunch to look at. I mean, it's nice to have a quick market that we can come in and look at right away when I'm talking to you and say, listen, we're already at these levels, and we can start to take these trades. And I know that tomorrow, on Thursday, we're going to have a lot more to talk about. Probably be here for, a full hour. Well, actually, let's wait to see how these play out as we're talking. Let's just hold off the euro. 5 minutes to the close of this hourly, and it is pretty heavy to the downside. Dollar yen. New Zealand dollar as well is looking like it's wanting to trend lower. Pound dollar. I'll tell you what, pound dollar has been the biggest battler out of all of them. People who are bulls on the pound are really, really wanting to remain bulls on the pound, but they're obviously just looking at the price action. I was up really late last night watching and entering in and out of some pound and New Zealand dollar positions, and then finally, like at midnight, I was like, okay, these are good to leave for the rest of the night. And then I got up at 5 this morning, and I come back and I look at the price action, and I'm just looking at this and going, wow, there's a lot more anxiety on the buyers right now. There's not a lot of massive dip buying going on right now. So yeah, it's been an interesting trade to observe over the last 24 hours that the pound dollar has. But yeah, anyways, so those are our trades, and we're gonna have some good ones, and I think we're gonna have a good rest of the week. Anyways, sorry I wasn't here yesterday, guys. I had my wife's car would not. It's the stupid extended winter takes forever. Now it's 50 degrees outside right now, but we were like freezing cold yesterday with snow, and so I had to take her to work, and then we also I wasn't expecting the plumber to come till later on in the afternoon, but then he called me right as I got home because I thought I could jump on real quick, but then he called and he was here for about 2 hours fixing some stuff. So, yeah, it was hectic. Anyways, that's all I have. You guys have a great trading day, and I will visit with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.